What is the most bizarre reason a customer got angry with you? Because I didn't open up shop an hour before opening time. Because he was here now, so open the store. He kept banging on the door and then threw a metal bucket at my head. Good times. Apparently when she said she wanted a hot fudge sundae she meant strawberry sundae. I used to deliver pizza. I had someone get irate and refuse the delivery because they'd ordered it to be delivered at 7 PM and I got there at 6:55. I hope Apu just stood there for 5 minutes refusing to hand it over till 7 exactly. I had a customer storm upstairs to customer services to make a complaint because we'd moved menswear upstairs and he couldn't get upstairs because of his knees. So he went upstairs. About all I could do was call the support desk and apologize for what they were about to receive. Edit. We had an elevator, but he was also claustrophobic, apparently. I worked at a Burger King in high school. A guy comes in one day complaining he put in money to get a newspaper in the machine outside, and it wasn't this Sunday's paper. He wanted a refund. I told him we didn't own that machine, and we weren't able to give him his money back. I also mentioned to him it was actually Saturday, not Sunday. He flew into a rage, threw last week's Sunday edition of the paper all around the restaurant and behind the counter. My manager comes out and threatens to call the cops. Dude leaves screaming about how we ripped him off. Sometimes you can't fix stupid. I had several people yell at me after I called them out for trying to steal shit. Even after pointing out the cameras in the store, some would guarantee I would be losing my job after they spoke with corporate. Guy was irate because I didn't get his pizza delivered in time. He yelled at me and said he didn't want it and would never order again. I got back in my car and as he stared me down from the porch I started eating his pizza. I took a couple of bites then drove off with both hands on the wheel and a piece of pie hanging out of my mouth. He was very polite when he ordered again a few days later. A customer came in to buy hand sanitizer. She brought a bottle to the register to purchase it, saw there was some at the register, then proceeded to share her vast knowledge of swear words with great vigor with me, swearing she would never shop with us again. What? Clearly you should have known what she was there for, stopped her at the door, and let her know it can be found at the register. I mean, how lazy are you? I was working at a coffee and wine bar when I had a man scream at me because he ordered a regular and I didn't know what he wanted. It was my first time meeting him which, catastrophically, aligned with the first time I was left to take care of the register alone. I couldn't get away from the yelling, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" in order to ask the people in the back what he wanted. His regular got written out, laminated, and pinned to the cash register after that. He kept screaming, "Do you know who I am?" over and over, which, no sir, I do not know who you are. This is the first time we met. Also it turns out he was no one but a dick. Lady walked into my office, asking for one of my colleagues. I explained to her that he actually works out of a different office, which is listed in his email signature and our website. She was upset, as she had documents to drop off to him. I explained to her that his office is only 3 minutes down the street if she wanted to make the drive, or I could scan her documents and email them to him. She refused. So I said, well, you can leave them here with me and I can ask the guy to come pick them up tomorrow. She again said no, because she didn't trust me. I explained that I am the director of operations for the company, basically my colleague's boss. She then yells that she doesn't know me and this is extremely sensitive information and storms out 1 minute later. She comes in and asks for my business card to prove I am who I say I am. Lol. I give her one, and she leaves her stuff with me and storms off again. I think I've told this story once in a post somewhere else, probably with one of my old accounts. I used to work deli for a New England grocery chain, working in Vermont. Working in one of the bigger stores meant that we would often be loaned out during ski season to small stores with big holiday booms. It was very busy for them, about normal for my store. I was slicing cheese for a woman, who got real angry that I hadn't stacked her cheese perfectly straight, which blew my mind. Who expects deli sliced cheese to be stacked perfectly? The story has a happy ending though. Her exact, indignant words were, "Where I'm from in New York they stack the cheese perfectly straight." And the guy behind her, a regular the local employees had greeted by name, piped up and said, "Well then maybe you should go the fuck back to New York." Best moment I've ever had at work. My parents used to run a small supermarket, and I'd occasionally run the deli cutter to help out when it was busy. Had a lady come in and want liverwurst paper thin, which is damn near impossible unless you have lasers on the cutting blade. I got it as thin as it would go, after being yelled at 4-5 times. Then when I was wrapping it, mashed down on the meat full force. Enjoy your liverwurst brick, moron. They noticed I had an accent. I'm from Southern Virginia and North Carolina area, and pointed it out as Russian. I don't know how they possibly thought my accent was Russian, but I corrected them and they got angry that I was being condescending to them. The personification of a Facebook moms group troll looking for a fight regardless of logic and sound maturity. Worked at Walmart and this guy went through my line buying something for his tires. He accidentally got two different things. One was a lot more expensive than the other. He got pissed, looking at his receipt, and demanded to know why one cost more money. I looked at the products and noticed one had some gel inserted in the product. I told him this and he demanded to know why this made the product more expensive. I explained to him I knew nothing about cars and was just a cashier, but he could go to customer service to exchange the more expensive product for the cheaper one. He then refused to leave my line until I lowered the price of the more expensive product. BTW, I was working the express checkout line on Friday at 5:30 and a huge line was forming behind this man-child. My manager finally got him to leave the line and go to customer service, though his son was in line behind him and apologized for his father's actions. A woman I had never met or seen in my life asked me where her kids were. I was confused and said I'm sorry, I don't know. And she yelled and asked where they put them. She stormed off angry at me. I never had a clue why she asked me. Got yelled at for saying no problem instead of you're welcome. I've been yelled at by a grumpy old man for the same exact thing. I hate this so much. Lol, you're welcome signifies that I've done a favor for you and now need praise. No problem signifies, well, that it wasn't a problem and helping people is just what you fucking do, Sharon. This lady at Walmart once got really pissed off at me because we didn't sell pasteurized eggs. And this wasn't the loud, screaming kind of pissed off. She just looked at me very intensely and spoke at low volume, over enunciating every syllable, and said tell your managers to order pasteurized eggs. This other lady grabbed my arm and started pulling on me, telling me that the fact that we shut down our sewing department felt like we had killed her child, and that less and less people were going to come to Walmart because of stuff like that and that we would have to close down. She claimed that I was thinking bad thoughts about her and the resulting negative energy was making her feet bleed. I wasn't thinking bad thoughts about her before that, but I sure as shit was after. I applied another discount to the total instead of the promoted discount to save her more money. Had to get into an argument with her just to explain I'm trying to save her more money. She wasn't having it. Pay more money, I don't care anymore. Reminds me of when I was at Subway once and the lady in front of me ordered 2 6-inch meatball subs and at the end the guy was like, let me ring that up as a single 12-inch to save you some money, and the lady lost her shit. Guy was like, right, okay, 2 6-inch meatball subs it is then. You're right. I used to work for Best Buy in Geek Squad but would cover PC occasionally. I had someone get mad at me because the quality of Intel chips has been steadily going down and they wanted me to give them a discount to buy an Intel laptop. They obviously knew it was a manufacturer's thing, as they even talked to me about how Intel is pushing their resources into quantum computing and not advancing current hardware the same way. Like, I can't just call someone at Intel and tell them to change their focus. I can't give you 20% off a new laptop because you dislike AMD and the price for performance doesn't really match anymore. I was a cashier. It was an old woman. Whole Foods. Back when they had the app to scan for little to no savings. She couldn't get her app to work. I spent 5-10 minutes trying to help, looking at her phone, etc. She gave up and her transaction goes through. As she shouts, I got it open. I looked at her and said, I'm sorry. The transaction went through. I can't scan the app at this point. She gave me a dirty look, went to the front desk, told my manager I was a bitch and walked away. It's people like her who I just think are gonna die. So sad and angry. Apparently I didn't greet her at the drive-thru with enough enthusiasm, but the real gag is it wasn't even me on the speaker, and when I corrected her she got even madder. How am I supposed to afford that? I don't know. So, I'm a 15-year-old girl. Note, this was 20 years ago. I think the law has changed, but at least at the time, yes, minors were allowed to sell tobacco products. And yes, as a then 15-year-old girl, sometimes being yelled at did make me cry. I've been screamed at like that except for the price of lotto tickets. Tell them if they had picked better numbers then maybe they would have been able to afford the price hike. Not me, but a doctor at a vet practice I worked at. The client didn't like that one of our doctors, a recent grad, was young. Specifically, she said, I don't like people half my age acting like they know more than me. It was so confusing. Mom, she does know more than you. She's a doctor. We didn't have any Bibles that were large print, pocket-sized, and contained the full text of the Bible. Now, we had large print Bibles and we had pocket-sized Bibles, all containing the full text you'd expect. We even had a large print, pocket-sized Words of Jesus compendium. But this customer wanted a Bible that was all three. All the words, printed larger, yet somehow smaller when it was all put together. I tried to tell her that this was impossible, but she wasn't having it. I also had a customer that wanted a Bible that was in English, but somehow not a translation. He kept saying the original. He wanted the original Bible. But he didn't want the New Testament Greek one we had. He wanted the original, but in English. Well, every translation in English thinks they are capturing something of the original. I said, they do all this scholarship. I don't care about scholarship. He interrupted me. I just want the original. I ended up leaving him in the King James Version section and said, let me know if there's anything else I can do. While walking away quickly enough to not hear anything back. All of this was at a regular Borders, by the way, not a Bible store.